Right, this is a couple of days after the last footage where we just sprayed it. It's gone off nice and hard now. You can see it's all shiny. I'll give you a bit of a walk around, like a close up. Pretty happy with it. There's a few little bits, but the good thing about this is that you can come back to it at a later date and we can fettle it a little bit. I'm not quite as happy with the silver on the decals now. It's dried. It's a little bit lighter than I wanted, but again, with the airbrush you can go back and do it at a later date. That's not a big deal, but the bulk of it's now done. This is the best side. Obviously still we're not going to get rid of that, we know that, but all the chafing along there is all now gone. There's a tiny little bit where we need to just rub it down with wet and dry, probably about 1500 grit, 2000 if we can even get it, but I've got 1500, and then polish it and T-coat it back up and it'll come up well. But I'm not going to do that for a few more days. I'm going to let it go hard, because if we've got any runs or any thicker spots, it might not have set properly underneath, and then as you start rubbing through the layers it'll tear. So it's better off just leaving it. If you can afford to leave it for a week or so, even better. But at least now we can start rebuilding it, and then little bits we can come back to and you can do while it's a full build bike. It's not a really big job really, but the bulk of it's done. It's great. As you can see, it's nice and shiny. I'll give you a nice big close up, and the opposite side has got a few runs. Now I wasn't maybe going to tell you about this, but I thought, well, it's a learning curve for everyone, isn't it? So if you're ever going to do this, you might have this situation. For me, I had it because when I was spraying in the shed on the far side of the bike, I didn't have as good light. I hit it once, twice too many, and I saw it run round, but I just leave it. It'll be fine, we'll wet and dry them out, but I will flick it around, I will show you, I'll be honest. But it's not the end of the world. You'll get it if you start with these things. You get yourself an airbrush and a compressor and a proper spray gun, or even if you do it with an aerosol and you still get the same situation, don't panic, it can be salvaged. Don't think, oh that's it now, we'll scrap it and walk away, because it's not. It can be done again. So right, I'll flip the camera around and I'll flip the bike around, I'll show you the worst side, and we'll get some close up and you can see how well that this original paint pops now. It's got some nice lacquer on it. So as we go in, this is the bad side. As you can see, just running a light across it, we've got a run here and a small one there, but that's it really. The paint's nice and thick, or the lacquer should I say is nice and thick, and even across here where all that chafing used to be, you can see there's tiny little marks, but when we go through the denibbing process and wet and dry it all the way down, and then go back over it with T-coat or like a compound, that'll bring all that right out. So you can see, even with my crappy camera, try and catch it in the light, it's so thick and smooth now. So other than that, and the little patch there, but the rest of it, into the forks. Oh yeah, we've got one more there. That's it. Perfectly salvageable. Oh, forgot to show you the decals. So again on this side, look how thick that is. It's literally back to its candy colour from factory. Now if you remember back, we had a big chunk missing out the K here. We airbrushed that in. You can still see how it's sort of missing a little chunk, but where we faded it in, we have gone a little bit there where the E doesn't look quite right, but we can touch that up again after. But when you back away, looks almost completely original. The only downside is that where I've blended it, the silver is slightly lighter than the silver there, but again I can mask that off separately and just dust that over very carefully with the airbrush when I find a more suitable silver. But it was not bad for a first go, pretty close. So we're working on the brakes, a little bit of a schoolboy error here. The battery on the camera went flat and I didn't realise and I carried on. These little bits here, the steel bits on the brakes, were as rusty as that. I've cleaned them off from the wire wheel and now they look like that. So they're pretty clean tidy, but they will rust again straight away as soon as they get wet. These ones, however, I've plated. So I thought it might be interesting for you guys just to have a quick insight into the plating process. If you want an in-depth guide into how to do it, get all over YouTube. There's loads of them out there showing you how to use the professional kits or how to use the DIY kit. All achieve decent results if you do them properly. But I've got an old professional kit I had years ago from doing motorcycles and filtered the electrolyte and add new zinc anodes to it, and it works perfectly well still. So we're going to turn them from that into that. I'll give you a quick demo. Right, quick overview of plating for those of you who've never seen it before, and if you're interested, get yourself on YouTube and have a look, because loads of guys are doing it on there and they do a really good job of explaining it a lot better than I'm going to do. So basically this is a tub of electrolyte, which if you're following YouTube guides can be just a bucket of water with mixed in a certain ratio to salt and vinegar. They do whatever they do. Then you have a power supply. People are using 6-volt battery chargers and stuff like that. I found if you use a lot smaller charge, it still works, but it plates on in smaller flakes, and therefore it seems to be a little bit more durable. So I only use this. This is a little 1.5 volts, and it still works brilliantly and quite quick. A little bit slower than the 6 volts, but it does seem to be a bit more wearing, especially when you're like touching it with Allen keys and stuff like that. Then you've got some zinc plates. We drop these in, and then we suspend our part in the solution between the plates, not touching them, and then we attach a ground. And then the plating process, the zinc travels from here through the electrolyte and clings to your whatever component you put in. It needs to be free of rust if you can. Clean it all off, degrease it as well. Try keep as little contaminants in this as possible. This can be filtered, but it needs to be as clean as you can possibly get the item before you put it in. Just bare steel. If you need to give it a wash off as well, or some people even use acetone. But if you use the stuff off YouTube, it can be a relatively safe process as long as you use some PPE. Some people wear the mask or wear the ventilated area. Should really wear gloves. My experience, I've done it quite a lot of times. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I probably don't use gloves sometimes. But I don't stick my hand in by any silly means. I use pliers and things like that, and then clean it under cold water and stuff to dissolve the solution off it. So we're going to get these dropped in. If we put these in the tank first and give it a little while before we start sticking the part in. Here are our bits, the steel bits. These bits we can do. The aluminium I don't think we can. We need to anodise aluminium, not electroplate. So these, unless that's the same thing, I don't know, but these are anodised. While you can get these anodised, these bits, steel bits, are the bits we need to do. So these have been done over on the wire wheel, with the exception of this little horrible rusty bit there, which we'll do again. I think I'm going to give them all one more going over, and then we'll clean them off, and then we'll get them dumped in here. By then this solution should be about good to go. All done. Imagine how long that takes with sandpaper. That'll be a bit of a baller. So yeah, literally 10 minutes and they're all done. Cool. Get yourself one. Brilliant investment. They're all done. You'll have to just excuse the wanky camera angle, but I'll have to put it there so I can zoom in a little bit when it starts fizzing, because you probably want to see this, because that's the whole idea. Right, got the bits. I can put quite a few bits in at a time, as long as they're all dangling on little bits of wire and in contact with the negative. So I'll put one in. I'll try not to touch them together, otherwise it's sometimes yeah, you end up, if your bits are too close together, like if you have two bits like that touching, maybe you end up losing a little bit of plating because it goes to one or the other. So to get a nice even finish, try and keep them individual on the bar. Oh, I'll put one on there, put two on there, put it that way. So that is suspending two. That's perfectly fine. They're, other than the copper wire that they're common with, they're not actually touching each other, so the plating should be nice and even. So we put them in, and within seconds they're starting to fizz. I'll have to see if I can zoom in and show you this. So if we do that to all these bits and refit them within a couple of seconds, look, they're already starting to plate. So you can imagine once this has been in for a good 10 minutes and then we buff it off and they come up nice and shiny and they're all lovely and fitted again. Brilliant, so we'll stick them back in, we'll do all of them and then that'll be the job done. They've been fizzing away for quite a while now, so probably about 20 minutes. Take them out very carefully, should have gloves on for this, iron glasses, bad. Right, and take it out, clean it under water to get rid of any solution of it. Right, this should be pretty safe to touch now. Right, so there's two of the bits. I'll just see if we can get a real close picture of it. So there we've got a look at that. So they're like a silvery, like coppery colour like almost now. They look nice. What we do now that's nice even coating, there's no bits or anything stuck to that, it's gone on lovely. We'll just put them on the buffing wheel. You can either use a bit of buffing soap compound or I use Autosol, a bit of that on there, put it on the wheel and they'll come up like literally like silver. So that's a nice good finish on that. So we'll get the other bits out and stick the other half of the other parts in that we need doing and then hopefully we should have a full assembly. Then hopefully in about an hour's time we should have a fully assembled brick again. So this time we're going to use the buffing wheel, but it's quite tame is that. Bit of soap on, I'm going to remember, also sonic knot. That one first. Oops, thank you for the metal. Look how clean and shiny. Let's bring it into the daylight though. Yeah. How clean and shiny that is now. It's like new. Maybe even brighter than new. Right guys, finally put back together. The purpose of this video, remember, was just to demonstrate how to renovate an old frame to make it look a lot newer than it actually is and get rid of all these scratches and just show how well you can cover up the old scratches using just new lacquer without disrupting the original paint and the original decals. With a heavy heart decided to sell this bike. I'm selling it to Nick so he can rekindle his childhood really. So the bike that he had stolen all them years ago with me when we were in Scarborough. Back when we were like 16 years old, oh god, that's like 25 years or whatever it was now. At least now he's got a second chance at having the bike that he had once before and loved. I didn't have the heart to keep it from him. A little bit of me wanted to keep it because, well, I offered him it when it first came on eBay and given first refusal and tipped him off that it was there. He didn't really want to go and collect it. As soon as I'd collected it and brought it back, he was like, will you sell it? No, because I'm going to do the project now. But now the project is done, I can't bring myself to keep it. I certainly couldn't ride around with him. I know how he would feel about it, so we're going to let him have it. We've given it a cost price as well, so which is nice. I hope that karma would come round and do something for me one day, because I've put a lot of hours into this, and I do love looking at it. But I can't look at all my bikes, I've got too many, so something's got to go, and I know this will go to a good home. So we're going to let it go. We'll give you a quick tour around. There is one little job that I forgot to do, and it is quite a little job. I can do it in just not very long. But I'm going to give you a quick demo because not everyone's familiar with it. I've not seen many people do it. YouTube, there's loads of people doing it, but not really seen many people do it on bikes. There isn't much call for it. There is for anodising. There's quite a lot of call for anodising, so I'm going to do another video on the Jason bike with a follow-up to that, because I've decided to DIY my own anodising because I need loads of little bits changing into red to fit it, and we haven't got I don't really fancy the chances of chucking them all in a box and sending them down to a platers at the bottom end of the country. I just don't want to lose any bits. So we're going to do it ourselves. That'll be a cool video. Right, cool. Let's get on this last bit. It's been great building this. Nick's here to collect it now, so I'm sad to see it go. But we've got all the canting bounce back together. They're lovely and shiny. We'll zoom in on that in a second, show you. It's been a brilliant project. I hope you enjoy watching this, and catch me for my next one. I think it might be another Trek. I think it'll be a 1994 this time, so it'll be to replace the sadness in my heart with one of these again. So we'll get on with that. Right, thank you very much for watching. See you again soon.
On a whole nother level. Girl, he only fucked you over cause you let him. Girl, I guess he didn't know any better. Girl, that man didn't show me ever. Do all I can just to show you you're special. Certain it's your love that holds me together. And you say